Hello and welcome to the Hot Apple Cider Podcast. Today with me I have Michael Asadi, and we're going to talk about the importance or the necessity of post-secondary education. Michael, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thanks for having me on the
you.
show.
Yeah, man, it's nice to have you here.
Yeah,
so we're talking about post-secondary education today. So you're in university, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What are you taking?
I'm in my 4th year of medical sciences.
All right, nice. How's that been going?
It's been pretty good. A little tough, but
all right.
It's been pretty good.
What do you plan on doing afterwards?
I'm hoping to apply to medical school and eventually become a physician.
Okay, so in your professional career, university is definitely a requirement. It's not optional.
Definitely, yeah.
So does that line up with your stance on the importance of post-secondary education, or what's your view on this?
Well, to be honest with you, there's kind of two sides of the coin to this.
Okay.
Primarily, you have your pros of university where it gives you an opportunity to get that extra education to further your path towards your career that you like. But there's also like some cons to university as well, which are primarily like students who go to university just to kind of go. I found that over the years of my undergrad, that if you're going to university, some people have the mindset of going to university as I'm just going here to waste my time essentially, but they don't have that goal, that next step in mind prior to their entering. So yeah, there's some cons to that. There's also, you have this, I don't know, I always found that when you want to go to university and you want to get that, people who are applying to certain programs, right? Some people often don't understand that there might be programs available in university, but not necessarily ones that will take you to a next step. You have, for instance, there's some programs that, there's not a lot of job demand for. There's some programs that but then there's some programs that take you to, once you have that undergrad, they open so many doors for you. So there's really just a bunch of different reasons why you wouldn't go, but I would say that, would you want to know, let's say, one aspect and I can go to the next one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So the pros of university is I found that aside from education, it really gives you an opportunity to enter this social space, and a social space that you wouldn't necessarily get access to had you just gone from high school, let's say, into the workforce. Primarily what I mean is you meet new people, you meet a whole ton of people that are not from your area, coming across the country, across the world, and there's just so much, you experience yourself, when you come to university, it's this eye-opening thing. You're so excited, there's all these people around you, and it gives you opportunity to make mistakes, make mistakes in relationships, in terms of friendships, with people. It gives you just this kind of an ability to get out there, learn how to interact with people, but also it kind of gives you leeway that, let's say, if you made that mistake in the workplace, you might not have gotten compensated for that, versus you making these kind of mistakes with people, how to work with people, learning how to obtain interactive skills that you wouldn't necessarily had previously.
So we definitely have a solid show
Yeah.
lined up with that. If
Yeah.
that's our opening, we got a solid show.
Yeah.
So for everyone that's tuning in, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, leave some comments on topics and things that you want to talk about, or even just leave comments on your views and thoughts on what we're talking about today. If you're new, click subscribe and enjoy the show. Michael, 2019-2020, the average cost of tuition for this year was $6,463 according to the Stats Canada website, and roughly $30,000 by the time that they finish.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Well, you kind of have to look at it from the point of view of, are you there if you're there spending your money on this education, and you know for a fact that it is benefiting you, then I would say that you'd be more satisfied with you spending this money than, let's say, someone who's going not satisfied, but because they have this sense that it's not really worth it to begin with. Because something that is not worth it, you end up feeling that, why am I doing this? Why am I giving something away? Which in this case, it's currency, money. Why am I giving my money away for this? but the rules are the rules, and if you want to get where you want to be, there's certain aspects, like steps you need to take, which is spending money on tuition. However, in terms of the pricing, yeah, it's understandable considering how OSAP has changed a lot of the regulations.
Yeah, before it took away free tuition.
I mean, realistically, when you look at it, like, you know, people are like, oh, he took away free tuition, right? Oh, he took away my money. But there was university students, including myself, who were left with about $1,500, $2,000 extra just to blow on whatever I wanted. And, you know, you have these people out here working hard, paying tax money. Yeah, of course, they say boomers, but you have people like, you know, even younger people who are in the workforce, they're paying taxes, right, to feed your education. But now, let's say this year, the money I got for tuition was the money that pays for my tuition, not the money for me to go spending on partying, going out with my friends,
right,
and these things. So in a way, I could see both sides. You have people upset with this, but you have to look at it from perspective of us as a whole country. We're all collectively paying to help each other through taxes, and this is actually going to lower the taxes for people who are working, and at the same time, it's paying for your school.
Right. So by the time that they finish, they're roughly 30 grand in debt.
Yeah.
Give or take. This is just undergrad. Like, it gets worse if you keep going.
Yeah.
Are you currently sitting in that kind of boat? I mean,
I guess so, yeah. Because I'm in my 4th year, so I've been like on OSAP loan for the past...
For the whole way through, right?
Yeah, whole way through, yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah, you were talking about, like, money being, like, the cost of going to university. I'd like to argue that it's not just money, though. It's time, right?
Time, yeah.
Because, like, every year of university, you're sitting there at an approximate $6,000 to $7,000 debt for tuition. That doesn't include if you live on campus, if you have meal plans, if you have all that kind of stuff. If you have to commute, the time that you spend driving, your cost of gas, maintenance on your car to get there, all of these kind of things. Whereas if you were to have been working full time, you could have made 50, 60 grand a year right out of high school if you wanted to. And that could average out to what, about like $240,000 by the time that you would have graduated university. Now, at which point you go back to school and you would literally have a lot more money in your account than being in debt. How do you deal with that?
Fair enough. However, to counter your point there, again, who's making the choice to go to university? You know, prior to going to university, you know what's the costs. So you're throwing yourself into there. It's ultimately not like someone's coming and saying, you know, you're going to university and you have to do this. It's like, okay, you made the choice you want to go. You know that you're going to have to pay this off, right? However, again, that now brings up the other point. It's like you could have, like you said, you could have gone out of high school, started working, making money. You wouldn't be in debt. But maybe you would want to do that because that's what was required. Nothing else was required to take you to your career that would have given you that amount of money, right? Or let you make that amount of money. However, some people, like, it's required, you know, to have some university, you have something post-secondary, not even university, college, even, you know, trades. There's certifications, licensing you have to go through. It's really changed over time, you know, like many years ago, even like my parents would tell me that, like, you know, you didn't really need so many qualifications to do so many jobs that we have now, right?
Definitely. Yeah, qualifications have gotten harder.
Yeah.
How do you feel on the idea of like college versus university?
Well, they both have their own kind of place in the education world.
Yeah, because like if we go back a few years, I think the stance was if you weren't smart enough for university, you went to college, and that was kind of the way that it worked. It's not like that anymore. It's not. It's not at all.
You know, like it's that's like a, you know, that's kind of like the stigma. I don't know. Would that be the right word? The stigma of it.
Sure. Because I mean, I've done both, and I can honestly say that it's not how it works anymore.
Yeah, really, no, it's not, because, you know, college is it's a place for people who are more practical. You know, it gives you it's more practical work. But university is more books. You're always in the books. You memorize, write your exam, go home, forget everything you learned. But college, you know, like you go there and you have to learn how to do things with your hands. Everything is mechanical almost. It's almost like I wouldn't even say necessarily it's lower education. It's a different type of education.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Totally different. It's like it's not like one of them isn't higher than the other, because you can have people who go to college who are making like tons of money, right? They're just,
Well, yeah, because like I mean, I did 2 years in university.
Yeah.
In the medical science field, and then I left and I went to college and I did a year in paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
And paramedics would have taken me 2 years to finish, and I probably would have started off at like anywhere between $60,000 to $80,000 a year, depending on where I was working.
Yeah.
So like, the money would have been great, and it would have only been 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like university is definitely not the same, because university, like you said, it's a lot of book and paper, go through the cycle, and then once you're done, you're like...
My bad. Sorry.
Knocking over mics.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I did that like in the last episode that I recorded, episode 4, so you guys will like hear my mic drop in that one in like
Sorry about
2
that.
weeks from now. But yeah, so like it's not the same, because like there's a lot of practical stuff that was going on there, whereas now it's a lot of book and paper.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm in economics now, so opportunity cost is like the biggest thing that you kind of like learn. It's like you know, what is the cost like doing something?
Yeah.
Which is why I brought up time, because it's not just money that you give up when you go to university. There's your time and your commitments and all the other things that you sacrifice. What could you have done instead of going to university?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you have to weigh it, you know? I'd like to argue that people in the arts domain don't necessarily need to go to university. There's enough online platforms now for you to be able to show what you can do,
Totally
show what your skills are, to build your portfolio. There's enough online resources now to teach you the things that you don't know how to do. You don't know how to edit a video. You can go online. I bet you someone on YouTube's got a video to do exactly what you need to do, and you can learn how to do it.
Yeah.
You want to learn more detailed stuff? Skillshare. That's a website where you can go and you can learn all those kind of things. And there's so many opportunities online. And I mean, worst case scenario, you can always volunteer. You can get a part-time job at a company that does what you're trying to do. You can learn from them. If you're someone who wants to act, audition for plays, get into stuff, go through that route.
Yeah.
That's really kind of the option. But at the same time, on the other hand, flip the coin, you're not going to build any contacts if you don't go to school for that. And that's the beauty of the art domain. You build so many contacts, and then your contacts have contacts, which we'll share with you. So you go to university for like anything in the arts, your contacts are going to be the other students, it's going to be the teacher, it's going to be guest speakers. But those guest speakers, if you communicate with them, you socialize, you create a professional relationship with them, they can get you in touch with other people that are in that industry, right?
Totally
Your
agree.
university professors, same thing, or college instructors. All of them will have contacts that they can get you in touch with, which is fantastic, because it helps you do exactly what it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
On the other hand, now, if you look at like sciences and maths and all that kind of stuff, the option of like getting into med school without a university degree, none.
It's almost like illegal. Like it's like law to have a university degree, or be working towards one to go into medical school.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you like just wrote the MCAT and passed, I don't think you could.
You can.
Yeah.
You can write it, but like if you don't have the degree, because like the undergraduate degree gives an opportunity for them to see your academic performance.
Absolutely.
Like high school is probably less resembling to, let's say, professional school than undergrad is. That's
100%.
So this is in a university setting. Whereas medical school, it's in a university setting. So they want to see how you perform, get an idea of how your grades are, how you're managing that over the years, versus, let's say, like extracurriculars and these things, if you're active in your community and all these different things.
Yeah.
However, like you're right. Like there are like some programs really that like I believe myself in university is more of a cash grab. It's a government, like this is a cash grab from people to go, you fill the spots, you get the tuition money. They don't care if you drop out. Like they don't care if you're failing. They'll be like, okay, cool, like thanks for the money, bye. Like
I mean, realistically, I think that applies to all programs. So at the end of the day, it is a money grab, because if you really want to think about it, my first 2 years in medical sciences, English Lit did not help me become a doctor. Canadian Studies did not help me become a doctor. But I had to take that if I wanted to make it all the way through.
That is true. Like, you have other countries in Europe, let's say, or even South America, like, for instance, I think it's Argentina. You can go straight to medical school from high school. There is no undergrad. There is no, like, There's no undergrad for
because
that.
they teach you exactly what you need to
know,
know
yeah.
for that purpose. Like university does not need to be 4 years.
No.
It could be a 2-year process. I mean, I guess with the amount of classes, probably not 2, maybe 3,
yeah.
or 2 years if you go straight through at 5 like classes per semester.
Yeah.
Instead of their like weird limited 2 class, 3 class kind of thing in the spring. But yeah, it's totally doable.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about like your experience with university.
Okay.
So, have you lived on campus?
I did. My first year of university, I lived on campus.
Okay, and have you lived at home then?
Since then, yeah, I've been commuting.
Okay, what's the difference like?
Okay, so like you think like in grade 12, like for any of you out there who are going to university or have lived in res, you think like, oh yeah, like I'm moving out. This is the university experience. I'm gonna be living with people. It's gonna be awesome. Like we're gonna be like always hanging out. Like you don't know the real like the university life, especially in a very like harder program. Let's say like medical science. You don't know what's coming to you. Like a huge tsunami wave, man.
Yeah. Look, I went to paramedics, and there was a reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you have like you go into res, and like my experience was cool. Like first couple of weeks were cool. My roommates were cool at the time, and I was just getting adjusted. But over time, as I started to get into my academics more, I started to care about my exams more. I realized that like my roommates weren't in the same kind of like mindset about school. They're always partying, and like man, there was some nights that like I would be in my res like before an exam, and these guys would come home at like 3 a.m. partying on like a Wednesday, and I was like, dude, like I was dying, man. Like I couldn't sleep. Like, and I missed home. I just wanted to be at home. I wanted food. I missed my home food, man. Like tea, man. Like obviously, like it was another experience. But I do say before, sorry, you get to your thing. It did give me more of like an ability to appreciate my actual home and my family, being away from them.
That's awesome.
So, I think that was what I got out of it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you say tea earlier?
Tea, yeah.
Man, whoever like took away tea from you,
yeah.
like,
dude, it was hard.
Guys,
man.
You're allowed to have tea at university. That's the thing. I don't know what Michael's experience was, but like tea is not like restricted. You're allowed. It's not a coffee only life. You can have tea. Man,
kill me, man. It was a rough life, man. Hard knock.
Oh man. So was your tuition roughly approximately like what I were saying earlier?
I think it was a little more, around 7.
Yeah, like in like sciences usually is a little more
7,
expensive.
yeah,
right?
it was around like 7. You have lab fee, you have lab deposit. I broke like 2 Erlenmeyer flasks this semester, so I don't think I'm gonna be getting that back. But like, yeah, you have like all these fees for lab, and just more things to pile up on it. Oh, and don't forget, you have all these other things that like Booster charges you for, like dental fee. These things you can opt out of, but there's some things like the bus pass.
Yeah.
You're paying like $400, man. You don't even use the bus, but no, you can't opt out of it.
Is it $400 now?
I'm pretty sure it's $400. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm wrong, but
Man,
I'm pretty sure it was up there.
It was 2 in like during my first 2 years. I didn't even look at it this year though.
Yeah, no, like dude, you didn't even know the parking pass, like zone, like you want the zone 1 parking pass, man? Like
paid like $700 to park, and I still have to walk to the other side of campus.
Yeah.
To get to my classes, because none of them are on that side of school.
And there's no space. There's over parking. Yeah.
They do oversell, and like their website is, well, we oversell because not everyone will be there at the same time.
Like good reasoning, right?
It's like people don't leave just as soon as their classes are done. You know what? Like I contemplated visitor parking.
Yeah.
Because it literally would have been closer to my classes.
It's like $13 a day, man.
Well, I looked at it because like if I did like by the hour, because like if I actually left.
Oh yeah.
Because like sometimes like I'd only have something like for like 2 hours on one day, or like I'll have 2 classes that separate a little bit, but 4 hours I can leave.
Yeah, yeah.
I looked at it, I'm like, it would cost me maybe $100 more, but I wouldn't have to walk like 10 minutes every time I get to campus.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I'm thinking like the winter's not bad yet.
Yeah.
But it's gonna get bad, and it's gonna get cold, and I'm gonna hate it.
That's.
I'm gonna have to like start walking in on the other end of the campus to stay warm, and just like walk all the way through the long
Dude,
way.
I swear, like parking at the end of zone 1 is like literally like you're parking in zone 2.
So for anyone that like doesn't know, so Brock University is the school that we're discussing, and if you're in the St. Catharines or Thorold area, you understand that Brock is like it is in St. Catharines. It's close to Thorold, but it's in St. Catharines. And if you go into one of the parking zones, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but Zone 2, if you go to the end of Zone 2, you're officially in Thorold. You're no longer in the same city. You pay to park in a different city and walk to the city.
Literally, man.
Like, I didn't believe this at first until, like, the Snapchat location filter showed me Thorold. And I'm like, okay.
Literally, man.
Clearly I'm paying way too much. Cost of tuition, would you say it's worth it? Like what you're paying right now for what you're gonna get in the end? Because I mean, you're going in what? You're gonna be 30 grand in debt to basically get the foundation to apply to med school. Have you already applied?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
So like because you're doing this whole foundation, you're gonna be 30 grand in debt, and you're gonna apply to med school.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you get in, but there's always like that possibility that you don't for like a couple of years, right, or sometimes ever.
Mm-hmm.
So like to you, cost of tuition roughly $7,000 a year. You know, you're sitting at approximately $30,000 by the time you're finished, about like 28.
Yeah.
Does that feel like it was worthy to
Totally.
you, that cost?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's totally worth it because the way I look at it, things especially in anything I do in life, like, you know, you want to get somewhere, you want to be, it's risk. You're never always going to have like 100% like a fail safe, like, okay, I know, like there's never certainty. Like you never have certainty in anything you want to do in life that like requires, let's say, that chance, you know, like you just said, there's a chance that like you might not for a couple of years get in chance, but if you don't try, if you don't take the risk, then there's your chance is zero. So, you know what I mean? Like you don't have a chance if you don't actually try. And I think it's totally worth it for that risk because even that, having that on your plate drives you even more to get to your destination. Because you're like, oh my God, like here I am, I'm in this situation, I need to, you know, get my stuff together, I need to be persistent and work towards my goal. So in a way, like honestly, I would say, yeah, it's totally worth it.
Would your answer change if you didn't get into med school?
No.
Do you have a backup plan?
No. I don't have a backup plan.
All eggs in one basket, eh?
In my opinion, like a plan B, if I have a plan B, then
it's like you were never really going for plan
A.
Okay, no,
Exactly.
I agree with that. I like that.
Yeah.
That
'Cause
mindset of thinking.
It's not something that I have to do. It's something I want to do. So I want to go through this path. Therefore, that's what I desire. You know what I mean? It's like saying like, you know, you want to be a pilot, but like you're going to have, let's say your plan B is like being a taxi driver. Like, are you really even going to like care if you love flying planes? You love this so much. Are you really going to even care? Like would you really want to go to plan B?
You know, you meet some crazy people working as a cab driver, though.
Like genuinely, like passion. You know what I mean? Passion is the number one thing that drives you towards
100%. Yeah, no,
it's passion.
You got to chase your goals, chase what you want to do. I mean, if you don't, what's the point of living?
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing?
We're all here on this journey.
You have one life. You got to make the best out of it.
Yeah. YOLO.
You know what? Like 100%. But like, unfortunately, that doesn't actually mean get drunk and like jump off like a roof into a pool.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Exactly.
Like,
of course.
It's not the way to do it.
Of course, no.
You got to find out what it is that you want to do with your life because you're not trying to cut it short. That's not what you're trying to do.
Yeah. No, really. And like, you know, that's the thing is some people have it twisted. They say that like life's enjoyment is that like this is called enjoyment is like, you know, getting super like, you know, like I say drunk or like, you know, always partying. Like this is the good side of life. But actually the good side of life is you being successful, you making it towards your dreams, you establishing yourself in this world of 7 billion people.
Yeah, you gotta like,
you know?
you gotta like think about it and create your idea of what your version of success looks like, and then you gotta like attain that. You gotta like fight for it, grab the idea right by the throat, and make sure it doesn't go anywhere. That you gotta hold on to that, and that's the only way you're gonna get there.
Something I wanted to bring this up actually, a little subtopic about post-secondary education. So university, let's say. One of the cons of university is that prior to even my senior year now, you get in this zone of self-consciousness around other students. So primarily, you're all trying to go, let's say, to med school, right? You get in this zone of like, oh, like, what if like, someone else is ahead of me? Am I too behind? Am I not as good as this person? You get in this whole lingo of like, you don't really even like know if you believe in yourself because you see all these people in the same boat as you trying to compete with you because it's competitive. It's obviously
Look, I'm going to be straight up. I did 2 years of medical sciences, and to all of you that are in medical sciences right now at Brock that are listening to this podcast, if you are, you're all fucking snakes. Every single one of you.
Yeah, I mean, like, really, like, it's very, like, you learn. Like, I learned that over the years. And then, like, I also, like, I realized, it's primarily my senior, it's like, who cares what other people are thinking when I'm doing? Like, you asked me right now, like, am I applying this year? I openly just say no. Had it been the old me, I'd be like, yo, like, I don't want to say this right now. Like, I'm scared. Like, what is this guy going to think? Who cares? You know what I mean? I know the road I'm going on. And that's the kind of the way you have to be. Like, you have to have your own mindset, and you have to just voice out the naysayers, as they say, and just be persistent with yourself. And that's actually a good lesson I learned in university, was removing that self-consciousness aspect of myself. It really, like I grew in those 4 years to learn that I should be more, like, not so caring about others' opinions. I mean, obviously, like, let's say you're going to apply for something like a job or something at the university. It's like, okay, I need to care about what this person thinks of me. But, like, I mean, in terms of, like, okay, I like this. I don't care if anyone else likes what I'm doing. It's about what makes me happy. So, yeah, a little bit of an emotional thing there, but not trying to appeal to emotion there, but you know what I mean? Like, really, it's very, like, that's one of the critical lessons, I'd say, that post-secondary taught me.
100%. So continuing on what you were just saying there, you've definitely experienced some kind of, like, growth.
Yeah.
And, like, in character and in just being yourself.
Yep.
Going from, like, first to fourth year.
Yeah.
If you could look back, is there anything that you'd want to say to the first year version of yourself? That freshman version of Michael?
Think before you act would be probably the one thing I would say. Take, like, an extra, like 2 minutes on a thought that you have and execute it after you've thought about it. Definitely decrease the impulsiveness.
Like, some bad decisions made in first year, I assume?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone like, you learn from your, the important part is you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And, like, you build yourself up from there, And, one other thing is that I learned in university is not to be, just comes back to the whole, like, self-conscious things, not to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I found myself, I can tell myself in first to be like, less like, don't make everyone happy. Why do you need to make everyone happy? It's about you being happy that's the most important.
Know your worth, know your value.
Yeah.
And hold yourself to that. If other people don't like you, that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, like, you have this, like, you always hear it on everything, like a goal cast, like, oh, like, be yourself, you're number one, like, you're going to be, like, the winner of the race, blah, blah, blah. You hear all these, like, different metaphors. But, like, genuinely, there is, like, I think there's, like, a default to, like, the system in the world. Like, there's a default, social default. Like, the more I found that I was pleasing people, the less I was getting towards where I wanted to be. Versus when you start focusing on yourself, of course there's going to be people around you who call you selfish. Of course there's going to be people around you who neglect that aspect of you. But in terms of, like, the mistake making, that's the whole point, I believe, in your life. Like, and especially post-secondary, like I told you, it gives you that chance to make mistakes that you would not be compensated for, let's say, in the workforce right away. You make the same mistakes in the workforce, boom, out the door, you're fired. University, okay, you learn, okay, now the next time I come across this exact same situation, I'm not going to be, I'm going to, better say it, I'm going to know what to do this time.
Yeah.
So experience is key in terms of social experience is key.
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has their own race.
Yeah.
No one's on the same race. Everyone's got their own goal. Even if your goals match, you're not running the same track. Like, to get there, everyone has their own journey. And like you said, people might think that you're selfish, but at the end of the day, the only person that you need to get to the end of the race is yourself.
Exactly.
If you can help people along the way without impacting how long it takes for you to get there, then yeah, go for it. Why not? I mean, if you don't at that point, then you're just, you know, being like that, I guess.
Yeah.
But the idea of helping people along the way is a good concept because it creates an overall better character. Like we talked about changing your character from beginning to end. But at the same time, at the end of the day, the only concern that you have is getting yourself to the end of the road. That's what matters.
Yeah, it's really an untimed process. There is no, this is what I'm set to. Nothing is set in stone, you know?
I can definitely attest to that because I've jumped around a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, really, though, like, you know, they say, like, in your 20s, like, it's your time to find yourself, to know what you like, what you don't like. Like, all the power to you when you know kind of the direction you want but, like, even if you don't, like, you even trying to get to that point is the step that you need to take. You know, if you're sitting around like, oh, I don't even care, like, screw it, man, like, I'm always going to be this, like, you know, the mistake, also, quickly, need to say this, the mistake I found in post-secondary is that it leaves kids in that kind of mindset of, I'm, like, going to be pampered and babied for the rest of my life, you know, because you go to university, let's say even OSAP does cover a substantial amount. You have that debt, but you're still living that like life where it's like, oh, like I don't know about bills, I don't know about this. Some students like don't even, you know, they don't know even like how to pay for a bill. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like, they don't even have a signature yet. I've met some people, they don't even have their own signature yet. And I'm like,
how does that even work?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, if you have a driver's license or a passport,
they just like, you know, it's like them spelling out their name. You know what I mean?
Oh my god.
And it's like, you know, that's one thing. But when like I've had friends from high school, they jump into the workforce. These guys are more grown up than me in terms of like, you know, living in real life. They have that like kind of real life mentality. Like, okay, I got to put aside this amount of money for this. I got to put aside this amount of money to pay for this. You know, they're very organized financially. And like I almost feel like I'm in the presence of like an adult, like a very like grown adult, you know. But then I have like kids in university. You see kids in university who are around our age, 21, even older, who's still acting like they're 15.
Yeah.
So it really, it's really like.
Not to say that some university students aren't like paying bills and knowing how to like, do everything.
Of course.
But there's a huge portion that come in at least in the beginning that have no idea.
Yeah.
And some will finish still having no idea.
Yeah. But. Yeah, that's also that's another thing. And I'm not even excluding myself here. Like I'm not trying to say I'm perfect about any of these things. You know, like me myself, like I was pampered. Like the first couple of years of university, like I was literally, like, I didn't really even like. I don't think like until I turned 20, like I really understood like how like life works in terms of like okay, I had my own signature like when I was like 15, okay? But like I had my own like, you know, I had like my own credit card, these things coming to university. Like I knew like how bills paid, like a phone bill, I paid my own phone bill, insurance, these things. But like there's really that like kind of so sorry, as I was saying, I kind of got to spin off there. Like even myself, like until I got to my senior years is when I kind of really started to grow up and take control. So yeah, that's very, like, you see how like there's pros and cons, but they tie into each other in university.
100%.
Like you have this con that comes in, but then it turns into a pro at the end. So like, it's a tanglement. Like you can't say like, yes, post-secondary education is the thing that you need to do, or it's not the thing you need. Like there's really like a intertwining, there's an intertwining pros and cons to it, and I think it's very like imperative that like that people like understand these pros and cons and really understand that like you can't really be on a one side in this kind of topic.
I think it's safe to say that university or post-secondary in general won't harm anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It can always better you.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't necessarily happen to be the best. It won't necessarily make you the best version of yourself. I guess like a better way of explaining this is you can It can 100%.
Yeah.
You could put a pizza in the oven,
Mm-hmm.
take it out, and you can have an average pizza. You can put the same pizza in a different oven and get a much better pizza.
Yep.
If you go into post-secondary, you need to go in for the right reasons and the right things.
Yep.
If you do that, you'll come out way better than you went in.
Exactly.
If you go in half-assed and not really sure what you want to do, you're going to come out okay.
Yeah.
You may even come out early. You may drop out. That pizza could still be raw when you take it out. You got to throw it back in, or you got to throw it out.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make your own decision on what is the best course of action for yourself with the goals that you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to eat pizza cold.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, really. And, you know, like, as another, like, way of looking at it is, like, you know, you're on this highway. Everyone's on this highway. Everyone's trying to reach their own destination. Everyone has their own exit they're getting off of. It's about staying
Or
in your...
ditch.
Yeah, or ditch. But it's about, like, you know, staying in your lane, you know, like, you know, having your eye on the prize.
100%.
And as long as you have your eye on the prize, I believe, like, a lot of you, like, even university students, let's say their program doesn't take them to, like, some professional school, but the eye is on the prize. They know what they want. You have a goal. You're not, like, swerving on the highway. You know what I mean? You're not just, like, going to this lane, that lane, this lane. That, oh, I took the wrong exit. Let me go back. Like, you're going. You're going to your destination.
Even if your goal ends up being, like, to go to university for solely no other reason than making contacts, that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as that's your goal and you know that that's your goal and that's what you do, then you've gotten the benefit that you needed.
Yeah, because, see, there's a reason.
Exactly.
Not everyone has a reason. That's the thing. When you don't have a reason, then...
You need to know why you're doing something.
Yeah.
If you don't know why you're doing it, you won't succeed.
Yeah. It's really, like... That's really it. Really.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, I would say, you know, for anyone who's watching this out there, you know, you have like your outlook, right? You have your own opinion. You have your own kind of outlook on this topic. Let's say post-secondary, is it good or bad? But I really think that with these things that me and Ibrahim mentioned, that there really is no bias in this topic, and you can always find a reason to not do something, or you can find a reason to do something, because realistically, whether you think I think this is a quote, I forget the author, but they say that whether you think you can or can't do something, you're right. So anything you do in life, whether it be university, you think you can go through it, you're gonna do it. You go into it hesitating, that's the outcome. Like, you have to really push yourself and drive yourself to get where you want to be. And you have to do what it takes, whatever it takes, and just stay focused. And, yeah, that's primarily it.
All right. Well, Michael, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast today.
So much.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
To all the viewers, thank you again. If you've stuck around this long, go ahead and leave a like. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought. If you're new, subscribe. And our Instagrams will probably have popped up on the screen already. If not, they'll probably pop up again. You guys can go follow Michael, follow myself. I've got a couple other YouTube channels and a couple different Instagrams, so go ahead and you can follow all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we will see you guys again next week.
Take care.
Bye.